Well, as the guy said, we just played very well today. We're doing everything we planned on doing and at a very high level. We have the ultimate respect for Carolina, their program. They've got some incredibly great three-point shooters. And there was one stage in the first half where they made 3 in a row, and that concerned us. But as it turned out, we went down and we made some threes, and that gave our guys a lot of confidence at the offensive end. And we were able to build up a first-half lead and then continue in the second half. The guys just never let up. And that is the mark of a good team.
Coach, I know the offense has been sensational, but how much pride do you take in the defense that's been played?
It's all about the defense. I think Carolina had 28 points in the first half, and that's really good defense. And we were able to keep it up and prevent them from getting on a good roll. Normally when you play a game like this, there are long runs by both teams. Somebody will run off 8 or 10 points, and the other team will run off 8 or 10. In one of their recent games against Virginia Tech started out 12-0, and they came right back and tied the game up and ended up winning. And I think that's what happens normally. But our guys have been so focused and have been able to sustain the defensive effort, and that consistency is what really works.
What was your message to them today before the game?
I just told them to attack with the defense and with the offense, to be aggressive. One of the things about North Carolina is they're a very aggressive defensive team, and they can put you back on your heels if you're not sharp. And one of the things you have to be able to do is get by that first line of defense, because if you don't, they might trap you. They might have a guy come over and deny a pass that you're planning to make, and we did. We threw a couple of those away. We had 5 turnovers in a row at one time. And so as a coach, okay, that's their pressure defense bothering us, but it was also a little bit of carelessness. We were a little over-anxious at that point in the game. We got ahead early, and then all of a sudden we started making some mistakes. So we needed to regroup, and we did, and we were able to finish the half strong.
Jim, for a program that historically has had trouble drawing attention, how much does it tickle you to see LeBron James and Dwayne Wade sitting in the office?
It was great. They called early in the week, and I told them, sorry, it's sold out.
And then what happened?
But then we said, we think we can fit you in. Those guys are great. Great players, great ambassadors of the game of basketball. They are, a lot of them, a lot of the NBA guys come here during the summer. They work out, they're in our weight room. Our guys get to see them work out and pick up ball. And to see them come to a game like this was great. We actually called the Miami Heat coaching staff to see what time they were going to practice today, because they play the Lakers tomorrow. And so we called to be sure it wasn't at 2 o'clock. And those guys asked for tickets. We put the tickets aside and the seats aside, and then Eric Spoelstra calls for a practice, and those guys don't show. That would have been a downer. But fortunately, the coaching staff said if they go, they're going to go earlier, and the guys will be here for the game. And when you watch an NBA game, often the camera will pan the sideline, and you'll see celebrities at those games. And for our recruiting purposes, it gives us a lot of credibility. When we tell them, we're a hot ticket in town, our program is headed in the right direction, there's a lot of enthusiasm, the students are lining up outside in big numbers to come into the game. We've had students sleep overnight outside to get the best seats, so every little bit helps. And the games that are on TV, we did an all access today. That gives us an opportunity to showcase not only our basketball program, but our university. What's very important to me and my staff and our players is that everybody understand that this is a great academic institution that we represent. #1 in the state of Florida, and one of the top 40 academic institutions in the entire country. And people need to understand that we're a private school, and those people are trying to follow college basketball. When they see us play, and they watch a game like this and we get a nice win like this, they're likely to go on the internet and check out our website. And that helps us recruit not only good basketball players, but good students. And we're a major part of the university. I went by today and talked to football recruits because Al Golden and his staff are also doing what we're trying to do, build a championship caliber team.
Jim, Shane doesn't necessarily have All-American numbers, but would you agree he's made an All-American level impact on this team?
Yeah, I think, now I'm a big believer in numbers, and I think they reflect an awful lot. But when you combine all of his skills, he's having an incredible sophomore year. What he does for us defensively, I mean, he made a play today that I'm absolutely certain none of you even saw. But we picked up, I didn't tell him to. They picked up full court, he and Duran. They ended up guarding the same guy, Marcus Page. That left Duran's man open. And instinctively, that ball went to Dexter Strickland, who is Duran's man. By the time Dexter crossed midcourt, Shane had already changed assignments, told Duran, stay with Page, I got yours. And he was there by the time the ball crossed midcourt. That kind of speed is incredible because you're not going to give up a fast break, layup, or dunk. That, when you play in Carolina, that's the norm. You make a mistake, you send two guys to one guy is open. He flies up the floor, hits a guy for a three, or goes to the basket, throws a lob. They're dunking it on you. That takes away a basket. He's not going to get any credibility for that because no one even notices it except the coaches. And he knows. He knows how good that is.
Coach, do you mind when your team has a little bit of fun with that alley-oop off the backboard? I mean, does that bother you? Or?
I think in basketball right now, as long as you're executing, I don't think it's showboating or anything like that. I think Shane could have laid it in, made the simple play, but if a teammate says to you, hey, backboard, it's just like the pass he made to him when he went up for a three-pointer and threw it inside and Kenny dunked it. It's another way to show that you're connected to your teammate. And we use the expression, bring everybody into your circle. The more you can involve other players in your game, that makes that other guy feel really good. So when Kenny gets that basket, he instinctively knows Shane could have shot that, but he's so totally unselfish. When he heard me bark, backboard, he was willing to give the ball up. So I think it's a good symbol for teamwork.
Dwayne and LeBron liked it too, so that wasn't
They did?
right? Yeah.
They've probably done it once or twice themselves. I think I've seen them do it.
Coach, with how well your team is playing and with the way college basketball is going and you guys moving up the rankings, being number one in a couple weeks may not be out of the question. Will there be anything you do differently now than you'll do in the future to prepare them for each game?
No. I mean, I know that's the simple answer, but right now we've got a good formula. Mm-hmm. Our preparation, my staff deserves an awful lot of credit. They do a fantastic job of preparing the team. And the players feel very confident because they know they're well prepared. They know what the opponent is trying to do. They know what we want to do defensively to try to stop it. They know what we want to do on offense and how we can attack whatever defense we face. And when we share the ball like we did today, I don't know if you remember, Carolina went zone. Does everybody remember what happened? Were you there? Were you watching?
Buried a three.
We threw the ball inside to Reggie Johnson, who hit Ryan Brown for a three-pointer. And then the next time, we drove it and kicked it out and hit, I think, Trey McKinney-Jones for, no, it was Shane. Shane hit a jumper. So you hit 2 threes against the zone. Basically, as a coach, you're saying, man, these guys are shooting so well from three. The zone gives up a lot of three-point attempts. Mm-hmm. Probably got to get out of that defense. So much has to do with the execution of each segment of the game. How do you execute an out-of-bounds play? How do you execute on a free throw? How do you execute against the zone, against a man? All those things change from possession to possession, game to game.
Jim, are you surprised of what's going on here? Maybe others are in terms of the winning, the atmosphere, and the energy.
You know, I wouldn't say surprised. I would say proud. You know, I think what we're doing is really what my staff and I did at Bowling Green and George Mason. Our formula hasn't changed in many a year. What has changed is we've got a wonderful group of young men who are working very, very hard to listen and learn and execute. And we started on this when my staff and I first got here, but we had so much adversity last year, so many injuries, that as much progress as we made, the coaching staff knew we could make a whole lot more progress if we could stay healthy.
Jim, should your team be ranked number one?
You know, I have no idea who's ranked number one. I don't really look at those. I look at the RPI, and I mostly look at the Ken Palm stats. Because really what our job is to coach and prepare the team. The people who vote, their job is to figure out who should be where. The reason we look at the Ken Palm stats so much is because it gives you a ranking in every single category from 1 to 345. And we know in order to be as successful as we'd like to be, those numbers need to reflect our performance. So the better we play defense, the higher our defensive efficiency will be. The better we play offense, the higher our offensive efficiency will be. And those are the numbers that we share with the players, especially about our opponent. You know, Carolina's third in the country in tempo. Like, our players need to know that. Because what does it say? That was a question.
They like to go up in
They're
those
fast.
points.
They aren't slowing the game down. They're racing up the court. If we don't get back, they're going to score in 5 seconds. So that's a very important message that you have to deliver to your team.
Offensively, how important is it to be as balanced? You know, you make all these threes today. You make 3 just a week ago. To be able to do that in different ways, how big is that for sustainability?
Yeah, I think that's the key to really good offense is balance, so that you're not, you know, reliant on just one guy or 2 guys to do all your scoring. We had 1, 2, 3, 4 guys in double figures today, but like last Saturday we had 5. And it's different guys each day, each game, and that's very important.
Coach.
Jim, according to ESPN stats, you're the first team since AC started playing in 1953 to beat Duke and North Carolina by 25 points in the same season. How impressive is that?
60 years.
Well, I would say this. I feel exactly the same way if we won by 1. It still counts as 1 game and 1 win. And no matter what the scoring differential is, you know, you don't get a plus on it, or, you know, it's not like you earned an A plus. It's you earned a win. It's 1 out of 18. And
just the level of domination to beat those 2 teams by 25 points, it's never been done. It's got to mean something to you, no?
No. No. But he asked that.
Coach, you had mentioned earlier about NBA guys trading down in this area. What do you think your guys picked up from that, from watching these guys, you know, work out in the off season?
Well, there was a day, not this past summer, but the summer before. Chris Bosh was playing pickup ball with our guys. And afterwards, I asked him what it was like. And he said, "Can I be honest?" I said, "Please." He said, "Your guys don't run the floor. They don't work very hard. I barely break a sweat against them. I end up just playing on the perimeter, just shooting jump shots, because there's no real physicality and no real speed in the game." I asked him if he would mind sharing that with the team. And this was right after they had lost in the World Championship Series with Dallas. It was maybe 4 weeks after the championship series. So one day with the whole team in the weight room lifting in the summertime, Chris Bosh went in and I asked him to say a few words. And he started out with an emotional message. It's the best 5-minute talk I've ever heard. He talked about how disappointed he was that he didn't play better in Game 6, and how disappointed he was that they didn't win the World Championship. And he didn't want to live with that kind of regret, and that he was killing himself during that off season so that the Miami Heat could win the World Championship. And he told the guys, he said, you guys don't work hard enough. You don't deserve the success you'd like to have. You can't compete at the highest level of college basketball with the effort that you're giving. And it was just music to my ears, because that was the message that we were trying to deliver. And coming from Chris Bosh, it meant a whole lot to the team. And then last summer, you've heard Shane and Duran and Reggie talk about, they were all here. It wasn't the same last summer. Last summer, they were killing themselves in the weight room, and you can see, we have pictures of the difference between the guys and how much stronger they are, how much harder they worked, how much faster. Julian Gamble lost 20 pounds. Kenny Kaji lost 22 or 4 pounds. I mean, those guys have gotten themselves in great shape, and that's why you see Kenny Kaji blocking those shots. His quickness and determination and strength to go up and battle, just so much better after a year and a half of work.
Those were numbers that you said were important too, the weight room numbers.
Absolutely. And we had some very sad, very happy, sad news this week. Our strength and conditioning coach, Jim Crumpos, has accepted another position back in his home state of Arizona. So he deserves an awful lot of credit. I know our players think the world of him.
Thanks, Coach.